The Doors were the band of the late 60s, with hit singles such as Light My Fire and Riders on the Storm, headline concerts and albums in the top 10.
Los Angeles has had more than its fair share of legendary young talent. Those iconic youths who live fast and die young, yet are immortalized in music and film.
One of the best known of these tragic figures is Jim Morrison, who was born on the East Coast but moved to the West and made it his home. He is still loved and remembered by his fans worldwide through his poetry, image, and music.
It's said that the Doors belonged to LA and LA belonged to the Doors. Lead singer Jim Morrison immortalized the city with the song LA Woman, but does his ghost linger along with his lyrics?
My God.
Our search for his spirit would see us investigate possible photographic evidence of the paranormal.
I'm not scared by anything. This photo made me think twice.
Look at 2 places where he lived for proof that he is still present.
Table's moving.
And visit one of the most haunted houses in America.
Oh my God!
Can you go now?
Is the energy from Jim Morrison fans the only thing keeping his spirit alive?
I'm getting scared because if a little kid did that, I don't know what an adult's gonna do. That was cool.
Jim Morrison's death of an apparent heart attack robbed the world of a unique talent. The Doors' enigmatic frontman died in the bathroom of his Paris apartment at the age of 27. But it's the streets of LA that he called his home, and it's here that our investigation begins. I went to meet Henry Diltz, a photographer and friend to Jim Morrison. Would he give us some clues as to where to find his spirit?
You photographed him, the famous photograph in the Morrison Hotel. What was that like?
You know, the Doors had called my partner Gary and I to come in and talk about pictures for an album. Then Ray spoke up and said, my wife Dorothy and I were just driving and we saw this hotel with a big window that said Morrison Hotel. So we got down there and talked to the guy at the desk. He said, oh no, you can't do that. So we went outside and I thought, well, maybe I'll just have him sort of stand against the window on the outside. And while I was thinking that, I was looking through the window and I saw the guy get in the elevator and go up, leave the desk. So I said, quick, run in there and just get behind the window. So I grabbed my camera and took 1 roll of film. So I backed up and we got the whole window and nobody even saw us do it.
So what was Jim like as a person?
He was an observer. He liked to drink in the situation. He liked to, you know, watch people and sort of, you know, see what was going on. He was bemused. You know, the days that I spent with him when we were shooting photos, he was very quiet. And he would look, and he was very attentive to things. And if you'd talk to him, I mean, he'd kind of smile and, you know, little smile and nod his head.
We're looking for Jim's spirit. Where do you think we would best find it?
Well, I would think that he'd want to hang out in the places where he lived, you know, and where he, you know, where he had his good times and partied and stuff, you know.
There are many conspiracy theories regarding how Jim Morrison died. Was it really a heart attack, a drug overdose, or something more sinister? Some fans even think he faked his own death. Chris was keen to meet Brett Meisner, a man who believes he has evidence that Jim Morrison's spirit can be seen.
So Brett, tell me, you have a photograph which may very well prove that Jim Morrison is really dead.
That is correct. I was at Jim's grave in Paris. I decided, you know, I'll take a photograph. There's a lot of crowds there, and I asked one of them to snap a picture. Thought nothing of it. Brought it back. Years later, my assistant pointed out, if you look in this photo to my right as you're looking at it, you see something there. It is the image of a man who appears to be wearing pants, perhaps leather pants. It surprised me. I got goosebumps when it sank in as to what I was looking at. I'm not scared by anything. This photo made me think twice.
You know, Brett, I've seen actually a lot of photographs before of ghosts and stuff like that, and I've got to tell you, This is pretty good. Now, do you think that Jim Morrison was a spiritual person at all?
Oh, Jim's whole career, his life was all about spirituality, driven by an incident that happened to him when he was a young child, driving with his family. A truckload of Navajo Indians hit head-on with another truck, and a young Jim Morrison, 5 or 6 years old, was passing by and saw this terrible accident. And in that transformation, in seeing that, Jim said his life was ever changed. He felt from that day forward, the spirit of the Indian had become one with Jim's spirit.
Who or what was this that had appeared beside Jim Morrison's grave? A shadow? A trick of the light? But it looks very much like the form of a man, and a man who looks very much like Jim. Jim's own avid interest in the paranormal, combined with the evidence of the photograph, was encouraging. It was time for our investigation to move on. Jim had had many homes in LA, from the hippie hangout of Laurel Canyon to the communes of Venice Beach to the seedy motels of Santa Monica Boulevard. For the first time in the course of our investigations, we had been granted exclusive access to one of these homes. 8216 Norton Avenue was the last home he had before the fateful move to France. I went to interview landlady Sherry Woods, while Chris went to talk to the tenants. Would the ghost of Jim still remain within the walls of this building?
I liked it because it was so charming. It's from the 30s, which was the golden era. Yeah. And I just fell in love with the building.
Now, Jim Morrison lived here.
Yes.
Is it still the same layout as when Jim was here?
From what I understand, nothing has been changed since he lived here. So it's pretty much the way it was in the 70s.
He lived, was it the upstairs one?
Yeah, he lived in 8216 and a half.
I understand that Jim Morrison used to live here.
Yeah, about 30 years ago.
Has it changed a lot since he...
Yeah, it was kind of a mess when we moved in. It looked like it was a party place. Carpets were full of holes, and they were black. The walls had holes in them. It was kind of a mess.
You don't mind if I just, look around?
Take a look. This is more storage in here, so it's kind of a
I want to kind of get a feel to see what it was like, the place that Jim lived at. Have you ever felt anything strange or odd while living here?
Every once in a while, like when you look really quick, you'll see something off to the side, like a figure or something.
Really? What do you think of that?
It's normal for me.
Normal? You see figures a lot?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Really? We got to talk about that. That's interesting.
Did Jim leave his mark in any way on the building?
Oh, well, you know, he used to park his car right back here in the first spot. And so I guess he drank a lot. And when he would back out of the driveway here, he would hit the wall there. And those black skid marks that you can see along the wall were made from his car when he would zoom backwards and hit the wall.
Oh, I see. And who had the other apartment blocks while he was here?
Another girl lived down here in 8216, and from what I was told, Jim loved the bathtub in this unit. So he would always come downstairs to use her bathtub, and he liked these long, luxurious baths. So he would take his baths in her unit.
I want to thank you for your help today.
We decided to take advantage of our surroundings by holding a séance to try and contact whatever presence was there.
So we're going to have a séance in Jim's old apartment, which is just here. What is a séance?
A séance is actually a bunch of people that get together and have a communication circle. They try to contact the other side and ask them questions. You know, but it could get extreme. I mean, you know, candles could start flickering. Other people in the room could feel cold spots. You know, might feel people touch you.
Do you think that Jim Morrison's going to be here tonight?
I can only hope so. You know, I mean, our main focus is try to get Jim Morrison. You know, since I've been here, you know, when I talk to this gentleman that lives in this apartment, there's something else here. He sees something.
And who have you invited along to tonight's séance?
Well, actually, Michael Curry's going to be here, so he's going to lead the séance for us. And we've got Sherry, who owns this building, and some Jim Morrison fans.
I'd invited along parapsychologist Barry Taff, a man who had a personal connection with Jim Morrison.
My job at a séance is to lend some objective verification to the ongoings of the procedure, to isolate and identify any prosaic events that may rationally explain what may be happening. I knew Jim Morrison as an acquaintance and a casual friend. He was a very spiritual individual, and he was very interested in paranormal phenomena. I believe that he would look at this event as sort of a tribute, as a welcome offering to attempt to communicate with him.
Now, in your mind, bring in the face of the person you are hoping to communicate with this evening.
Psychic and medium Michael Curry uses the candle as a tool of communication with the other side.
We would like to invite you to raise the flame higher than its normal status for yes.
Is there anybody here that can help us?
A lot of fluctuation on the candle. Yeah, it's very active.
Is there a spirit here that is not happy that we're here doing this seance?
This is the spirit that I had seen in the dining room here.
Okay. Dining room spirit, are you with us? Is that a yes? Raise the flame up higher for us.
I'm feeling that spirit.
Okay.
See, I'm getting, this is the one that's not happy.
Okay.
It appeared that a spirit was trying to enter Chris. Could it have been Jim Morrison or the anonymous figure that the tenants had seen on previous occasions?
Something like, this is my place.
Can you bring up a name?
Now I'm getting like sad.
Okay.
Something really sad.
Okay.
It's a David.
Well, the candle's going really crazy, so. Okay, we'll use the name David and we'll call you David.
Table's moving.
Did everyone feel the table?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just vibrated a little bit.
No, it's sliding.
Oh, is it sliding?
Twice towards it.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it's sliding.
Okay.
Sliding. It's sliding across the floor.
Like someone's
Moving.
pushing it.
It's still moving right now.
Yeah.
There's a vibration to it.
Interestingly, although you couldn't see the table moving, you could feel its vibrations.
It's still moving now.
Okay, let's stay focused now. Let's stay focused. Spirit, do you also
Whilst it appeared that perhaps Jim wasn't with us, some kind of energy was about to make its presence felt.
It's getting very cold in here. Do you notice that, Chris?
Yeah, I just feel something to my left side.
Okay.
I feel it on my right arm.
Yeah, I do. I feel it on my right too.
Man.
I just felt somebody behind me, like a presence behind me.
Okay. Do you think it's him?
Was this the dark figure the tenant had seen in his apartment?
Just try to, in your mind, close your eyes. What are you getting, Chris?
I'm just feeling something.
Okay, what are you getting? Describe it to us.
I don't know, I think it's trying to get into me.
Okay, don't let it go through you.
However hard Chris tried to contact Jim, it seemed that this other figure, which Chris sensed was called David, was trying to block any other spirits out. Whilst Jim was unable to come through for us, another energy closely associated to him did.
I'm feeling like there's a dog or a cat under the table.
He had a dog.
Oh, okay. Because it seems like it's like underneath my feet, like it sort of wants to get in on the circle. Jim, is your dog with us? No.
Oh
Is
my
that
God.
a trip? That's very interesting. To hear a dog barking after I asked that question.
I know it.
Coincidence?
That's Lucy or Ricky.
But the dog hasn't barked.
Jim kept a pet at the apartment. Was this a sign from the spirit of his dog?
Jim, is your dog with us? No.
Oh
Is
my
that
God.
a trip? That's very interesting.
Chris alleged that the spirit in contact with him was a tenant of the building before Jim. Chris felt that this spirit was still trapped there.
I'm gonna ask my spirit guides to guide him towards the light, show him the light.
Chris maintained that this energy would need help moving to the other side.
Make him not be afraid of the light and go to it. All his happiness and all his questions will be answered on the other side. It is his time.
Jim Morrison may not have come through for Chris, but he was not disappointed. He felt he'd been drawn to the place by another energy who needed him more. Chris alleged that his job was to free the saddened dark ghost that was still trapped in the apartment. I was still skeptical, unconvinced. I wasn't really sure where the investigation could go from here. Little did I know that our search for the spirit of Jim Morrison was about to lead us to one of the most haunted houses in America. And a night that I would never forget.
Can you go now?
I swear to God, something just pushed my hand.
Did you see it?
Yes. Jim Morrison was LA. For many fans, his lyrics summed up the mood and the feel of the city unlike any other. At his house in Norton Avenue, we tried to communicate with Jim through a seance, but it wasn't his energy that came through. In this big city, Jim Morrison was proving to be a difficult spirit to track down. I'd been intrigued by parapsychologist Barry Tass' revelation that Jim had been fascinated by the paranormal. Jim had claimed to be possessed by a ghost, and he had an active interest in witchcraft, mysticism, and the supernatural. With this knowledge in mind, Chris and I met up at the Buena Vito coffee shop, the site of the Doors' old recording studios, to discuss where to go from here.
You know what? There's this place that I want to take you to. Now, it does stay in line with us investigating Jim Morrison because he always had an interest in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And allegedly he did visit this place. But it's supposed to be very haunted with a lot of ghosts. So not only can we see if we find Jim Morrison's presence, but also I can maybe prove to you that ghosts exist.
Is it really haunted?
Very haunted.
The Whaley House is listed by the United States government as a genuine haunted location. Built on the site of the early public gallows, the house was home to the Whaley family, most of whom died in tragic circumstances. It's now a museum, and thousands of visitors come every year to see if they can experience the unexplainable. It's also said that Jim Morrison came here on a number of occasions, so perhaps our mutual interest in the paranormal would bring us all together.
So this is it, the Whaley House. What's so special about the Whaley House?
Thomas Whaley built this in 1856, and allegedly they're supposed to haunt this with his entire family. You know, it was also a courthouse, and Yankee Jim was hung here. And they say he still haunts the place with loud footsteps on the roof.
Oh, you bring me to all the best places.
We're going to get some proof here.
I'm sure we are.
Whaley House museum guide Robin Sweeten was there to show us round. First stop was the courtroom.
This room is sometimes called the most haunted room in the house. People have been reporting that there's a little boy in here and he likes to stay in here and play around. And oftentimes the light fixture, the up above there, will move of its own volition. It will either swing side to side in a controlled swing. Sometimes it will go in a circular motion. So they're in here, great, moving about. The top of the stairs, this is the children's room. The Whaley daughter slept in here. This was a happy room when they were alive, but for some reason now something remains here. A couple of weeks ago, the books on the dresser, however, were swiped off right in the middle of the day on a Sunday.
Really? And no one can get in that room?
No, only the docents can go in there. And it was visitors standing here which happened to see it.
That's exciting.
So it's San Diego's first commercial theater in this room. They used to get 150 people a night in this room. The reason there is a theater in this house was because at the time the Whaleys were destitute and they needed income, so they leased these two rooms out to the Tanner Troupe Theatrical Company. This room is active. It's active during performances. Many people have reported seeing something dark that seems to skim across the ceiling and kind of just move around the room. Sometimes it will come and just come down next to you. People are very uncomfortable with whatever this is, and they feel that it's dark and something they do not want to look at or acknowledge.
So they're not going to like the fact that we're here then?
Oh no, they're not happy. They might be very quiet and watching us, but they're not happy. This is another one of the Whaley children's rooms. This room is pretty active. There is a spirit that stays here. We believe it's Violet Whaley. She's the daughter who committed suicide. She was 22 years old and probably had some mental problems. Oftentimes, people feel a very definite sense of depression when they walk in here. Their heart sinks, they feel sad, they don't want to be in here.
I could understand that, even though I wanted to continue investigating. I just couldn't stay.
Do you want to leave this room? All right, let's go. I'll come back in this room later. I don't want to be here right now.
This is the master bedroom. This was Mr. and Mrs. Whaley's bedroom. This room is active, tends to be a male in here most of the time. I've never sensed a female in here really. In the summer, at about 7:15 p.m., I witnessed this room full of a white fog. And so, of course, I came right in, and there was a very heavy, sweet pipe smoke in here with the fog. That curtain frequently will blow out into the room by itself, as if somebody has just breezed right on through, and there's no draft, there's no windows open, there's nothing.
Well, I mean, if we stay here, do you think we'll see something?
That's anybody's guess.
Do you want to join us this evening?
I'd love to.
Do you want to stay in that outfit, or do you want to get into something more
I'd rather
comfortable?
be more comfortable. This is not super comfortable.
Well, why don't you get changed and we'll get ready and do this all in the dark?
Okay.
Great.
Come out and play.
I could see why Jim Morrison was interested in this place. It was already getting dark, and as we made our way back along the corridor, we spotted what appeared to be a child's fingerprints in the dust.
If you have a steam on the window, or if you have dust, sometimes ghosts will write their names or write something, or they'll put their hand or footprints on them.
Nobody's been in there lately. No.
It seems like, because if you look at it, the way it goes out, its pressure is applied, as if it's like lifting up. But that's great.
Why were they there? And had they been watching us?
That's very freaky.
As night fell, would we experience any further unexplained activity?
After you, my dear.
After you.
Okay. Age before beauty.
With noticing the strange fingerprints in the child's room, it was a logical place to start.
Why don't both of you go out there? Just because I only one person there, because I think too many might be scaring me away.
Okay.
Chris felt he'd be able to pick up more if he was alone.
You see any orbs flying around, you know?
No.
I swear to God, something just pushed my hand on the okay. It scared me more than anything.
Was this one of the Whaley children unhappy with us in their bedroom?
God! Oh, I swear to God, something just pushed my hand on It scared me more than anything. I swear to you, I swear to the Holy Bible, that something just pushed my hand holding the tape player, like as if it was like a little kid wanting to play, swatting something out of the way.
Can we go now?
I started to feel very uneasy in this house. Strange things were happening.
That was cool.
I was trying to be skeptical, but it felt like there were more people present here than just ourselves and the crew. Was it Jim Morrison, back to a place that had fascinated him, or the residents who lived and died here? The night was still young, and our beliefs were about to be put to the test.
Don't like it. I've done enough.
Oh, I swear to God.
Our investigation to find Jim Morrison's ghost had taken a disturbing turn. We hadn't had contact with him yet, so Chris had taken me to one of the most haunted locations in America, the Whaley House. We wanted to see if Jim's spirit haunted the place he allegedly liked to visit, but also to find evidence that paranormal activity existed. Unexplained events were occurring at a rapid rate, but things were about to get worse.
I'm getting scared, because if a little kid did that, I don't know what an adult's gonna do.
I took Robin, the Whaley House guide, to investigate the main bedroom. This is where she claimed to have experienced contact with the ghost of Mr. Whaley.
Well, I thought the code's gone here. There's just needs to go.
I saw a shadow behind James.
The temperature in the room dropped, and I was sure I'd seen some dark shape behind the cameraman.
You thought you saw what?
I thought I saw a shadow behind James.
This is where the curtain was, where previously Robin had explained that a movement occurred when an energy was felt.
The curtain is moving at the moment.
Yeah. He's a little antisocial.
Downstairs now.
You didn't make it look good. What is it? Chris was.
Keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going.
Whilst everyone had been upstairs, one remaining crew member was on the ground floor and had noticed that the chandelier in the courtroom was moving on its own. No one had been in that room for at least an hour. There's no room above it, so foot pressure could not have caused the light to swing. This is apparently a very common occurrence in the house. It's allegedly the spirit of a small boy who haunts the courtroom and likes to play tricks.
I'm not kidding.
Chris's excitement increased as I rapidly became more nervous.
God, it's cold. Let's go for a little walk around. I'm with you.
It was becoming unbearably tense for everyone there. The nerves of the crew were rattled, and this wasn't helping me to stay calm. Chris and Robin returned to the back bedroom. This was a place I couldn't even bear to stay in, and that was when it was daylight. I waited outside.
Violet, give us a sign that you're here.
Robin had previously told us that one of the Whaley daughters, Violet, had committed suicide in there.
Oh my God. Violet.
Looking back at the footage, we notice what appears to be a dark figure at the top of the stairs. Nobody noticed this at the time. In fact, my torch skims the top of what looks like a head. Although I didn't see the shape at the time, I did sense someone or something there. What had we caught? Had somebody crept into the house to see how the filming was going? Or had we caught on camera the outline of a ghost? However, at the time, this wasn't what sent me into a panic. I thought that I'd noticed some lights, although we didn't pick anything up on film. I decided to leave the area.
Should we go now?
I hate when these shadows move, especially with a torch. I think this place is definitely haunted, and I'm not happy in the slightest. Nothing's been really horrible, but I'm the noises, and I'm freezing cold, and I'm actually scaring myself with shadows. I'm sure I've seen something.
What was it you thought you saw?
It was like little Tinkerbell type lights, and they just went right past my face, and I just thought I saw them out there again. Like maybe we're getting followed. No, I don't like it.
God.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Did you really see it? Did you? They were following us, weren't they? I'm going to wait out here, I'm not going back there.
I'm gonna ask them what happened. I'm gonna go ask them what happened. I heard them scream downstairs. What happened?
It's like it's following me.
Come on!
No, honestly, I'm done.
You stay right by me.
No, I promise you, I don't like it. I don't like it. I've done enough. Do you know what I mean? I've seen something and that's fine, and I don't want to go in there. I'm not comfortable.
I want something to appear to us. We're so close.
I've seen 2 little things. That's fine.
We're close to where it can manifest
well,
and turn right
then
into a
you can get
person.
something and show it to me. But I promise you, I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I don't like the fact that it's children.
I gotta do this.
That's fine. You go and gotta do what?
Well, I'm not leaving this place till I see something.
I'm definitely leaving this place. Bye, everyone. Much as it's all very exciting and everything, I'm very nervous and I'm not happy and I'm uncomfortable and things were following us around and I was feeling really cold and I've done enough. I've been in the most haunted house in America and I don't like it, surprisingly enough.
We hadn't managed to capture these lights on camera, but Chris had his own explanation for what I'd seen.
They're able to manifest, which means that they're able to show physical in front, not just on cameras with going into infrared and ultraviolet red and all that type of stuff. They're able to get into the light spectrum that we can see, which means that they're very powerful. They've learned how to do that. Now, there's been a lot of sightings with seeing them physically. I'm going to see if I can try to get them to boost up their energy, give them some energy, and see if they will present themselves, where all of us can see them. I guess Gail's seen it twice, which is great, because that's the type of evidence she needs. I wish she was here with me, though, because obviously they're attracted to her right now.
Meanwhile, something had happened in the theatre area.
It just flew up. The tree.
Okay, come on.
It's cold here. Is anybody in here? Please, give me a sign you're here.
Chris was determined to find proof of paranormal activity. He went back to the master bedroom with Robin.
Thomas, Anna, give us a sign you're here. Speak out.
We stayed at the Whaley house for some time after, but there didn't appear to be anything paranormal occurring. Robin and the producer went down the stairs. Chris followed, with the director last to leave.
Oh my God! Fuck!
Who turned the lights on?
What?
Who turned the lights on?
Someone just touched me. What? No, someone pushed me.
At what point were you?
Just coming out of there.
It appeared that it wasn't too late to get a message that we were truly unwelcome in this house. The director claims to have been pushed from the top of the stairs at the exact time the flash from Chris's camera went off.
Chris took a picture at it at that time.
When you examine the shot, you can see in the glass reflection, at the exact time she was pushed, that there is no figure behind her. Could she have been startled by the flash and stumbled, or was somebody or something trying to get rid of us as quickly as possible?
You go take a shot. No way.
Soon after this incident, Chris took a picture looking up the stairs. On closer inspection, there is what appears to be a figure looking straight down at us. What could this be? A shadow from the furniture? A trick of the light? Or could it be an apparition of the energy that pushed the director down the stairs?
I saw a shadow behind James.
I wanted us all to leave before anything really serious happened. We were obviously not welcome in this house. Although I was scared and confused about what we'd experienced, we were no closer to uncovering substantial evidence that Jim Morrison's ghost existed. Yet our search wasn't over yet.
He's at the candle right now.
And would Chris be ready for some news from the other side? It was the final day in our search for the spirit of Jim Morrison. So far, we had held a séance in his old home and investigated a place heavy with supposed paranormal activity.
Yes.
In the light of day, I wondered whether the things I'd seen had all been in my imagination. But this doesn't fully explain the things that happened to Chris and the crew.
Oh, God. No. Oh, my God.
We still had no substantial proof that Jim Morrison's spirit existed, but there was one more place we were going to investigate. I arranged to meet Chris outside a motel in Los Angeles. Jim Morrison had lived here for 2 years at the height of the Doors' success. It is still exactly how it was in Jim's day. It has become a shrine for his fans who travel from all over the world to be closer to their icon. Would this be the place where Jim felt most comfortable?
Well, let's go in. Oh, wicked.
Oh, this is a bit weird, isn't it? Crikey.
Obviously, a lot of fans have been here. Well, he's right about one thing. Definitely his spirit's got to be here with all the fans coming here.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Here you go. Jim's soul is here. Corpse lies in Paris. Strange place to stay.
Yeah.
Almost like keeping it real.
You know, there should be a lot of energy here, though. I've got a weird feeling more over towards this wall. Okay, he fell into the wall here. I feel that when he was coming back and he was stumbling over here, he fell into the wall, collapsed, kind of sat for there a minute, got his moments up, thought about a few things, and then just realized the bed's right there and just collapsed right into the bed, crawled right over to it. Yeah, his spirit's here. Since we're doing an investigation, I want to use all the different tools that are out there to show you so you become familiar with them. Okay. So I was thinking we'd have a woman come over here, do some tarot reading, and see if she picks up anything about Jim Morrison.
Does that mean that I can ask her questions that I'd want to ask to Jim?
Yeah, we both could. We can both ask questions. She might even pick up on some things about you, maybe your future, and even mine. So you can get something else out of it.
Okay. I think I'll stick with Jim, not me.
Okay.
My name is Carla Barron, and I'm a clairaudient, clairvoyant, and clairsentient. And I started reading people about 20 years or so ago. It helps quite a bit to do a tarot reading in the actual location where they've spent quite a bit of time, especially during the later part of their life. This is easier for me just because they're comfortable there. It's more for their comfort level than for mine.
Hi, Carla.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thanks for meeting us here.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Oh my God.
This is the place I was telling you about.
This is great energy in here. You know what? I think he would like to be surrounded by words. I think words were his favorite thing of all. And I think he would have no problem whatsoever. And you didn't tell me about the words.
I know.
I think we'll set up over on this table over here, okay? And what the cards will do is actually just tap into certain specific details that you might want to know. This is way beyond yes and no. This is tapping into his essence.
So I can ask you quite
essence.
detailed questions.
I am a direct intuitive, so we're going to go directly to Jim himself and see if he'll talk to us. Okay. First of all, let's establish Jim Morrison. Let's ask if he's here. All right, Jim. Jim Morrison. I'm going to look at his eyes on that picture over there. He says he's here, but he's hiding.
Why is he hiding?
He doesn't want to be seen by everyone in the room here. Apparently, is that correct, Jim? Yep. He only wants the women. All right, let's just hide your face.
Not a problem.
Do you like Chris, Jim? Do you like Chris being here? He said your ego is competing with him and it's detracting from him.
Don't worry, Jim. This is your show.
Yeah, okay.
I'll sit and watch.
So he's basically in awe of you, Jim. He really is in awe of your talents and what you have.
Was he happy in this room?
Okay.
Tarot readings are done by the random shuffling of a deck of cards. Each card represents a god, an image of existence, and a set of feelings and ideas. Carla was using the cards as a way of interpreting any messages from Jim.
He felt like Lord and Master here. He felt like he was in the vortex of this energy here in Los Angeles. He felt like it was more in the smaller little cubby holes, you know, the little spaces where he could capture his intensity and he could write, and he could be with himself. He felt better writing in a situation like this than he did out in the real world and having to interact with other people.
Do you know how he died?
Okay. This indicates the stress with, I believe it was Pamela, who was living with him at the time. The stress from that relationship and trying to be responsible to that relationship contributed quite a bit to his death, he's telling me. And I think he inflicted pain upon himself as a sense of cruelty begets cruelty, you know, and he felt that people were cruel to him in some ways, that they wouldn't let him be himself. And I don't think it was so much a heart problem, and I don't think it was an interaction with the heart or an artery itself. I think what happened was he died of exhaustion. I think he was exhausted being Jim. Jim, are we offending you? He's at the candle right now. It was weird. I got pulled to this, like, right here. He's wondering what you want to accomplish by this.
As far as what we're doing for this show?
For this show, and why are we seated here? What's the deal? He wants to know.
Okay, well, we're doing a show because we are trying to figure out if spirits do live on. It's us being nosy.
Okay.
It's us being nosy.
We have
you can.
Yeah, Chris, we need something else beyond that, because that's not good enough for him.
Okay.
I don't mean to
No,
insult
that's
you,
fine,
but that's what he's
I don't
saying
really
to
know
me,
what
is
to-
that that's not good enough for him. He's fairly intense and he's very deep, and you know, he needs something a little deeper than that to make it okay for him.
We want to investigate if spirits live on, and what are they doing.
He said, on some level, you already know that. You already know that they live on, and you've had. Actually, you've had an experience, he said, when you were younger, where you communicated with someone. You already know this answer. He's indicating that this has already happened to you, that you have been made aware and you don't want to look at it. And that's why you're skeptical and you're afraid.
According to Carla, Jim was more interested in giving us messages than answering our questions.
Okay, so now he wants to get personal with you about some personal sorrow that you've gone through in your life, and he wants to dredge it up. See, he doesn't want
This was quite personal and something neither of us was prepared for.
There's something that he wants you to start addressing as far as your own feelings. This looks like... You know, it's weird. It's almost like with you, it's almost on a father figure thing then. Because I'm getting... for what he's telling me, you feel that you've never been accepted even one day as yourself by the father figure. And he's indicating that this is something that he felt and he identifies with you, and as long as you're okay and truthful with yourself with that, he's fine with you. Like, he can have a camaraderie, you know, and he can deal with that.
Sorry, that's really deep for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't identify with what Carla told me, but Chris later confessed that there was a lot of truth in Jim's message to him.
Thank you, Jim. It was an honor meeting you, Jim. Thank you for letting me come. He just said something I can't say.
Our search for Jim Morrison had been harder than I'd imagined. He had allegedly communicated to us through Carla, but was more interested in us than he was in answering questions about himself. We'd become the subjects, and he was doing the investigating. Perhaps this summed up his whole character. He wasn't a conceited man, he was a listener and an observer, and even on the other side, these characteristics still live on.